I'm excited. I really am, honestly. I am so excited. It's fight weekend, honestly. The Nigerian Nightmare Kamaru Usman, obviously, versus Colby Covington. Colby Chaos Covington, ladies and gentlemen. Like, obviously, it's something that we're all excited, obviously, watching. And then you've got the pound for pound king, one of the greatest pound for pound boxers of all time, in Saul Canelo Alvarez, facing Caleb Plant in the middleweight division. Honestly, absolutely sensational. But this particular video is going to be about who is Kamaru Usman, essentially the greatest welterweight champion of all time. So it's the Nigerian Nightmare Kamaru Usman, the greatest UFC welterweight champion of all time. I mean, generally, as UFC fans, we would like to think that George St. Pierre, GSP, is the greatest welterweight champion of all time. Which you might have a justifiable reason to believe that GSP is indeed the greatest welterweight champion of all time because of all the things that he actually managed, because of all the things that he actually managed to accomplish. Trying to show you my wrist is fully iced up. Anyways, not bragging. And obviously, let's focus. And obviously believing that George St. Pierre is indeed the greatest welterweight champion of all time. However, this is a new generation, a new fighter. Well, not a new fighter, but a new sort of like finisher, like a new sort of like athlete. I wouldn't say it's different from GSP because GSP was a great wrestler, but Kamaru Usman does things better than GSP. So if you look at Usman, for example, I mean, the reason why I believe that Kamaru Usman is the greatest welterweight champion of all time is, first, you got to start with when he won the belt. He won the belt against Tyron Woodley. In fact, he was the first person to actually defeat Tyron Woodley. Although Woodley initially lost outside the UFC, but I think Usman was the first person to actually beat him. Well, another person beat him actually. What's the guy's name again? The McDonald, the Rory McDonald from Canada, the Canadian Rory McDonald had actually beaten Tyron Woodley. But once Tyron Woodley gained the belt and obviously on his way into winning the title as well, I mean, not many people could really stand him, to be honest. Like, he was just like hitting people, he was knocking people out. And at UFC 235, Kamaru Usman absolutely outclassed and dominated Tyron Woodley. And after that, a lot of people figured Woodley out, So Usman, after that, he proceeded into defending his title against his next opponent, Colby Covington, at UFC 245. He defended the title against Colby Chaos Covington, which was absolutely sensational, and then proceeded to defend the title against Masvidal, and then Gilbert Burns, and then Masvidal again. I'm talking about devastating performances, and if you see how he's done it in comparison to how GSP has done it, there's a huge difference. GSP was having decision, he was dominant, but he was in the vast majority of these fights, he was in actually finishing his opponents. The Nigerian Nightmare Kamaru Usman from Auchi, Nigeria, is actually finishing his opponents. He's doing something that GSP wasn't doing, which is actually finishing his opponents, to be honest. Absolutely sensational. And honestly, at this moment, like, he is the greatest welterweight of all time. Initially, it would have been GSP, then Tyron Woodley. But after what Usman has been doing recently, I mean, devastating finishes against like the likes of Gilbert Burns, obviously, the knockout against Jorge Masvidal, and obviously he moved to Denver, Colorado to train with Trevor Whitman, who's just a specialist in striking. I mean, Rose Namajunas, it's evident with Rose Namajunas and Justin Gaethje, who are both fighting in this card as well, UFC 268, honestly, ladies and gentlemen. Like, I'm just so excited. I'm so excited. Anyways, let me put a tail through it. Kamaru Usman is the greatest welterweight champion of all time. He's the greatest welterweight of all time. There's no one else. You could say GSP, and yeah, that's about it really. But who else? It's GSP, like, obviously, that could be your argument. You can't say Tyron Woodley. So it's between Kamaru Usman and GSP. And I, obviously, think Kamaru Usman is the greatest welterweight champion of all time, based on the reasons I gave you. And obviously evidenced by the fact that he has the capability in actually finishing people. That's something that George St. Pierre, the native of Montreal, Canada, the Frenchman, just could not do. He just couldn't do. Usman was knocking people. Usman is knocking people out cold. GSP couldn't do that, although his record was absolutely fantastic. We got to remember, in the welterweight division, Usman got defeated once once, that's it. That was his second, I think it was 2013, that's when he lost. But after that, his record has just been impeccable. And I think his record is something like 20 something and all. Let me just 2-1 or something. Kamaru Usman's record. Let me just give it a check quickly. So his record is just 19-1-0. Incredible, honestly. 19-1-0. Like, defeated Gilbert Burns in like literally 34 seconds. And then a beautiful performance against Jorge Masvidal with a devastating knockout, and then beat obviously Colby Covington with like 50 seconds to go, and then obviously dominated Tyron Woodley through 5 rounds. They're just special, just absolutely special, honestly. The Nigerian Nightmare. No sort of like, but only one loss, to be honest. And where's Sergio Moraes anyways? I mean, he knocked out Sergio Moraes. He didn't lose to him. Apologies for that, honestly. Sergio Moraes was the person he knocked out. But who he lost to was Jose Caceres back in 2013. So in May of 2013, he lost to Jose Caceres, but bounced back with a beautiful performance versus, as I've mentioned, bounced back with a beautiful performance against Rashid Abdullah. A TKO finish, which was fantastic. It was actually VFC, so the Victory Fighting Championship 41, and he lost to Jose Caceres in CFA 11, so he wasn't actually in the UFC. But in the UFC, he hasn't lost a single fight since he made his UFC professional UFC debut. Hadn't lost a single fight, which is just absolutely fantastic. He's got victories against the likes of Sean Strickland and Sergio Moraes, who he knocked out as well. And then he's beaten Damian Maia and Rafael dos Anjos. I'm talking about Damian Maia, Rafael dos Anjos, and obviously Tyron Woodley, Colby Covington, Jorge Masvidal, Gilbert Burns, Jorge Masvidal again. So if he beats Colby Covington this time, yeah, I mean, he's already the greatest welterweight champion of all time. If he beats Colby Covington, like, it's just like, you can't debate it anymore, to be honest. He is the greatest of all time, to be honest. The Nigerian Nightmare. Absolutely sensational, honestly, ladies and gentlemen. He's a top dog. He's a legend. He is an absolute legend, Kamaru Usman is, to be honest. Like, that's just how it's done. That's how it's done, representing Nigeria, representing his country. Do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, though. Colby Covington is going to be a tough adversary, or tough opponent for Kamaru Usman. He will. He's a good fighter. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate the time. Appreciate you watching this video. UFC 268, Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington is going to be absolutely sensational. Absolutely sensational, ladies and gentlemen. I'm looking forward to it. Hope you are. Beautiful. Going to be an absolute sensational fight. I'm just so excited. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I really am so excited. I want to blow the excitement to you lot. Oh, honestly, just can't wait. I just cannot wait, honestly, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be beautiful. Obviously, UFC 268, Usman versus Colby Covington is an upcoming mixed martial art event produced by the Ultimate Fighting Championship that will take place on November 6, 2021 at Madison Square Garden in New York City, New York, United States of America. Beautiful. And guess what? Thug Rose Namajunas is also fighting in that cards, and then Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler as well. Honestly, fantastic. Let's go, baby. Let's go. See you later. Peace.